page 2 of the prayer book. Refuge field, visualize Buddha Shakyamuni, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas in front of you. And how you visualize them. You are like their child, and they are very affectionate parents. And imagine you come home demoralized, and they are there to give full love, affection, attention, and so forth. Next, Bodhicitta field. Visualize your two parents on the two sides. And all the family members, all dear mothers and beings around you. And how you visualize them. They are like your children, and you are their mother. And imagine they come home demoralized, and you are there to give full love, affection, attention, and embrace, to the extent that each one of them feels themselves as so special in your eyes. And the purpose of this class is finally to discover one's own potential, the potential for perfect enlightenment, the potential for the awakening, the perfect seed of the happiness, that treasure of happiness within us. And for the time being, it is obscured by the mental defilements, because of which, although the ultimate source of happiness is within us, we don't see it there, because that is obscured by the mental defilements. Like the gold, when mixed with the soil in the ore, we don't see the gold. It doesn't mean that the gold is not there, but we simply don't see that because it's being obscured by the soil. Likewise, our job is to remove the mental defilements, just like separating the soil from the gold. Likewise, to remove the mental defilements, we have to first know what the defilements are. And the defilements, we come to know that there are of two kinds, the gross and the subtle mental defilements. For example, the obvious anger that we feel, or obvious craving that we feel, these are all the mental defilements. And then on that basis, physically, verbally, mentally, what we engage in, they're all mental defilements. So these defilements, they're responsible for the obscuring the fine purity or the perfect enlightenment which exists within us. So, to separate them, to remove them, knowing that we need to know how the gross mental defilements, like the water, when you see the ocean, when very serene, we see the bed, the ocean bed, particularly on the coastal area, you see the ocean bed there. But when when there's a turbulent waves formed, then you don't see the clarity of the water disappears. It doesn't mean that the clarity does not exist, it is simply obscured by this turbulence. So likewise, when a mind assumes such a gross state of the mind, the afflictions, contaminated karmas and so forth, then see that the true nature of mind becomes obscured, it becomes non-visible. So that gross one is also known as the afflictive obscurations. And the subtle ones are known as the cognitive obscurations. Afflictive obscurations, they obscure us from achieving freedom from samsara, freedom from the fears and the fears and the anxiety of samsara, anguish of samsara. And the subtle stains obstruct us from becoming fully enlightened. And how to get rid of these two defilements is by resorting to the counterforce, and knowing that these two defilements somehow either they take the form of the ignorance and then its offshoots. in the form of the afflictive obscurations, the afflictions such as attachment, anger, jealousy, competitiveness, and so forth, and their offshoots in the form of 10 non-virtuous actions. So they are all grounded on the self-grasping ignorance, complemented by the self-centered attitude. So to eradicate that, we need to introduce a counterforce, which is the wisdom, which directly is in contradiction to the ignorance pertaining to the object of apprehension. So this wisdom is the wisdom to see that things are all illusion-like, things are all dream-like. And this wisdom, depending on what your motivation is, if the motivation is just the renunciation, wanting to be free from samsara, then this wisdom will at the most take you to nirvana, which is freed from samsara. Whereas if the wisdom is motivated or driven by the renunciation plus bodhicitta, the desire to become enlightened for the benefit of sentient beings, then invariably it will take us to perfect enlightenment, Buddhahood, which means not only it will eradicate the afflictive obscurations, it will also eradicate the cognitive obscurations. So that is the purpose. So with that in mind, we see that finally the wisdom of emptiness is to be employed as a final remedy, and the renunciation has to be employed as the driving force, and then complemented by the force of bodhicitta that will make the motivation much more powerful to eradicate the subtlest of the mental stains. So that is the whole purpose. If in our life, see if our life, how we flow our life, that flows in direction towards this end of cleansing the mind of the mental defilements. And say we are into, say, negativities, and this is a fact, we are into negativity because of which we are in samsara. But the thing is that, see if we are putting any effort to go a little away from the negativities. If something of this kind is happening, for example, all of us here putting effort to come to Tibet House to learn something of this amazingly precious text, Lamrim text, even that is the effort that you're putting to go away from samsara, to go away from the mental defilements. That itself is so precious. So, with this in mind, the purpose, knowing the purpose of this class so well, then imagine that you are leading this and all sentient beings are joining you, so happily joining you, and placing the whole hope and trust on you to take them to enlightenment. So you are leading this group, and all sentient beings happily join you in this journey. Okay, let's turn to page 2 of the prayer book. Enthused by great compassion, you taught the immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. Enthused by great compassion, you taught the immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. Enthused by great compassion, you taught the immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. Independent origination, there is no ceasing, no arising, no annihilation, no permanence, no coming, no going, no separateness, and no sameness. I prostrate to the consummate Buddha, the supreme among all teachers, the one who taught this peace, which is free of elaborations. I prostrate to the mothers of the Buddhas and of the hearers and bodhisattvas, who through the knowledge of all these hearers seeking pacification and complete peace, who through the knowledge of past causes those helping my greatest to achieve the aims of the world, and through the possession of omniscience, the subduer set forth the variety set from all aspects. Okay, so the one who is transformed into the reliable guide, motivated by altruism to benefit sentient beings. The teacher, Sugata, and protector, to you are my prostrations. The one who has eliminated the web of conceptualizations, and is endowed with the divine bodies of the vast and the profound, who eternally shines forth the forever noble light rays. To you, the Buddha, I make prostrations. Page 7. Page 7 from the bottom. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. By my accumulations to the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. By my accumulations to the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. By my accumulations to the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Sangye joda zoge jonam la, chanjo bardo dane gyabsoje, dage jinso gebe sonam ge, joda penjire sangye jubara isho. Sangye joda zoge jonam la, chanjo bardo dane gyabsoje, dage jinso gebe sonam ge, joda penjire sangye jubara isho. Sangye choda soge chonam la, chanju bardo dane gyabsoje, dage jinso gebe sonam ge, dola benjire sangye dubare sho. All phenomena arise from causes. The causes are taught by the Tathagata. The cessation of the causes as well is taught by the great seer. This mantra, Om Ye Dharma, this is so precious. And in fact, the Buddha at one point, I think, a devotee, I don't remember too well whether it was the Indra or Ananda, a devotee, I think King Bimbisara, made the request to the Buddha as to what mantra would you advise us, the recitation of which will be of so benefit for yourself, for all the beings around you. Then the Buddha said that if you could build a stupa and put this mantra in this stupa, and anybody who meets with the stupa, anybody who shows respect to the stupa, so they will accrue enormous amount of merit, and the obstacles, the limitations, obstacles, all will be cleared. This is so precious. This is what the Buddha said. So this mantra, and just see if we can know the meaning of this mantra. The meaning is given there in the stanza, but if you can correlate word to word of this mantra, and as we recite the mantra, see if you can, the meanings reflect in our mind rather than just words. If the meanings can be reflected while we recite the mantra, there will be a tremendous benefit for us. And then designing our life on the basis of this mantra, if we can design our life on the basis of this mantra, then we see that our life becomes more meaningful. Our life becomes more meaningful once in a while, So we may get a little distracted here and there, but overall speaking, our mind will become more meaningful. You find that this is so meaningful. So for that, just to make a very quick understanding, Om symbolizes the three letters A, U, Ma. No, Om is consistent of three letters, A, U, Ma. And A, U, Ma, these three letters, they symbolize the body, speech, and mind. Body, speech, and mind that we have, which is impure, and the body, speech, and mind that the Buddhas have, which is so pure. So when we recite this Om, it should remind us that I should not be staying in the miserable state that I'm in at the moment. So I should upgrade myself, I should improve myself, I should transform myself from the state of misery to the state of ultimate happiness. So this is what we should be reminded of when we recite this mantra, Om. So saying that the body that I have should be transformed into the body of the Buddha. speech that I have should be transformed into the speech of the Buddha, and the mind that I have should be transformed into the mind of the Buddha. So this is how I transform myself. Overall, I transform myself into the enlightened state. Like the gold, when mixed with the soil, you don't see the gold. There's nothing glowing there. And slowly you remove the soil out of this mixture, remove the soil. As the soil is removed more and more, then you see that something starts to glow now. And then you remove the soil even more, then the glow becomes very prominent. And then finally remove the soil altogether, then it's really blazing, it's really glowing, shining so much. So that is how the true nature of mind, which is so pure, which is so perfect, that will also come out. And when that comes out, then your body automatically becomes the body of the Buddha, your speech becomes the Buddha's speech, and your mind becomes the Buddha's mind. So this is what we should be reminded of when reciting the syllable Om. So the next question is, how can we do that? So that is by Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhava Hetum Desham Tathagato Hyavata Desham Chayu Nirute Evam Vadima Shramana Swaha. Okay, Ye Dharma, these phenomena. So here you go to the English translation. So it's more very literally translated there. Ye Dharma, these phenomena, or all phenomena, these phenomena, Ye Dharma. Hetu is causes, Prabhava is the arise. These phenomena arise from causes, meaning the phenomena which we dislike, the miseries, the phenomena of miseries which we dislike. If we don't like them, we have to know what these causes are, because they arise from the causes. Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhava Hetum Desham Tathagato Hyavata. Hetum is the plural form of the causes. Hetum Desham, these, Desham, Tathagato, these causes. Tathagato means the Buddha, or the one who has gone to the thusness or the ultimate, referring to the Buddha. Buddha, Hyavatat. Hyavatat means said. So what these causes are is said or taught by the Tathagata, by the Buddha. Hyavatat. Desham Chayu Niruddha. Desham Chayu. Desham Chayu Niruddha. Niruddha means cessation, bringing an end. Bringing an end. Bringing end to these. Desham Chayu. These, referring to the causes. These causes. Cessation of these causes. Evam. Evam means thus. Vadi is again said or taught. Evam Vadi. Maha Shramana, the great seer, the great saint. Ye Swaha. Swaha means established. So the meaning now becomes very clear. As we recite the mantra, see how much we can reflect on the meanings of each of these words. And then particularly after studying the emptiness, ultimate reality, the philosophy of ultimate reality, after studying that well, when you get some glimpse of emptiness, that how things appear to me, they don't really exist their way. They are all like illusion. When you get a glimpse of that, then particularly when you recite this Desham Jayu Nirodha, the cessation, the misery is coming to an end, is through, say, when you go through a nightmare in the dream, the nightmare never stops unless you wake up from the sleep. You wake up and the nightmare automatically stops. So the nightmare ceases. The cessation, niruddha, the cessation of the nightmare happens the moment you wake up. You wake up, you realize that whatever was happening in the dream was just my dream. It was not real. Likewise, when we see that things are all just coming from my mind, the way the dream happens from my mind, likewise everything is coming from my mind. It is like waking up. When you wake up, then you stop the nightmare of samsara. So the cessation of the causes as well is taught by the great seer. This is amazing, great, meaningful. And if we can extract, if we can sense that this mantra is of great meaning, amazing. If you start feeling the weight of this mantra, which means that you are in line, you are actually going towards, going away from samsara, going away from miseries. This is the greatest meaning of our life. Okay, with that mind, Let's try to recite this. And as the Buddha said, we are very fortunate. Even that we are getting the opportunity to recite this mantra on top of reciting it, the benefit that we're going to accrue out of reciting it with the reflection of meanings. Okay, let's recite this 3 times together. Om ye dharma hetu prabhava hetum te shantatagato hyavatat desham chayo nirodha evam bhati mahashramanaye swaha. Om ye dharma hetu prabhava hetum te shantatagato hyavatat desham chayo nirodha evam bhati mahashramanaye swaha. Om ye dharma hetu prabhava hetum te shantatagato hyavatat desham chayo nirodha evam bhati mahashramanaye swaha. All phenomena arise from causes. The causes are taught by the Tathagata. The cessation of causes as well as taught by the great seer. Okay, let's turn to page 17, the Heart Sutra mantra. Okay, again, if you recite this mantra, Heart Sutra mantra, this is so precious. The wordings, Tiyatha Gade Gade Paragade Parasamgade Buddhist, the wordings Tiyatha means here is thus. Om, the same, is the same. And some people may not include this syllable Om, and some add it. It doesn't matter. Whichever way you like to do it, you can do it that way. So the Om, and the meaning remains the same, that I should transform my body, speech, and mind into the body, speech, mind of the enlightened beings. It is not that with the Om is correct, without the Om is incorrect, or with the Om is wrong, or without Om is correct. This is not the point. Both ways are correct. So, the meaning that we do keep in mind is that earlier it was directed more towards, say, cleansing the negativities. Now here it is presented in a very holistic way. It says how to transform the body, speech, mind into that of the Buddhas is by forming this journey, gati gati, means go, gati gati, paragati, parasamgati, go beyond, go utterly beyond, bodhisvaha, establish your enlightenment. Meaning that don't remain at the fears of samsara, go from the state of the misery to the state of freedom from misery, which is enlightenment. Gati gati, paragati, parasamgati, bodhisvaha. So the next question is, how to go? How should I go? It's not an external journey, it's an internal journey of cleansing the mind. As we cleanse the mind, this is the meaning of going away from, as the mind is very dirty, we continue to suffer terribly. And as the mind becomes more and more clean, we become more and more happy. So it's a journey of cleansing the mind. So to cleanse the mind, we need to resort to the remedies. And the remedies, particularly what we're going to learn from here, is the remedy of the wisdom of emptiness. To see that things are all illusion-like, that things are all dream-like, that things all arise like a dream coming from our own mind. Okay, so this awakening, if this awakening happens to us in whatever form, of course it has to be, we can't really expect that you go to some gurus or some rinpoches or lamas, and then the lama says something, touch your head, and then the next moment you start to have this realization. This is totally impossible, totally impossible. So finally, the realization should happen through study, reflection, and meditation. Study how things don't exist the way they appear to us, one. Then reflect, to subject whatever you have learned into the reflection, to see whether what the Aranigarjuna, whether what the Buddha said, what Aranigarjuna said, they are true or not to follow them blindly, subjecting them to analysis. And then finally, after subjecting them to analysis, then you get a very profound conviction that this is 100% true. Then, like the medicines, you got the medicine for tuberculosis, and knowing that this is the right medicine, then your job is to continually take the medicine for the next 6 months in the case of the tuberculosis. Likewise, once you know that this is very true, what I'm seeing is totally deceptive, it's all coming from my mind, then with this conviction gained, we are to habituate in this practice. And then slowly what happens is that all our, agitation, mental irritation, agitation, anxiety, stress, tension, fear, which are all grounded on the belief that things exist so objectively real, so that will be shattered. It will be shattered. Once that is shattered, automatically, once the iceberg melts, then whatever is built on atop the iceberg will all crumble down automatically. Likewise, once this ignorance, the belief that things exist so objectively, once that is shattered through the study, reflection, meditation on things, seeing things as dreamlike, then automatically all the mental, first of all, the mental afflictions such as attachment, anger, jealousy, competitiveness, and so forth, they will shut down. And then on the basis of whatever arises out of these afflictions, such as the 10 non-virtuous actions, physical, verbal, mental actions, which are the expressions, which are the offshoots of these negative, the mental defilements, the afflictions, we see that even these offshoots, the contaminated karmas, they will stop. Once the contaminated karmas, automatically the pains will disappear. So this is how we are freed from the pains of samsara. So this happens only through the wisdom of emptiness. So it is how we proceed through gate, paragate, parasamgate, bodhiswaha. It is through cleansing the mind. So keeping this in mind, and if you reflect on this just the way we did with the earlier mantra, if you do the same thing with this mantra, we see that we really don't have to go for so many things. Just get this meaning, and then see how I can undertake this journey, internal journey. Gate, paragate. When that happens, this is the greatest meaning of my life. So this is so precious, indeed, extremely precious. And for that matter, just include your two parents, because the Buddha emphasized so much on us to take care of our parents, emphasized so much on us not to hurt them, to really take care of them, to repay the kindness. This is tremendously what the Buddha Shakyamuni emphasized. So as a ways and means to repay the kindness, let us include the two parents on the two sides. Imagine that they also take part in this recitation, so that they will also undertake this journey of extracting the greatest meaning of their life. And then along with that, you can also bring to visualization all your family members and all sentient beings. Always, when you speak about other beings, when you speak about bodhicitta, when you speak about the beings of the 6 realms, don't start from outside. Start from yourself. You, your two parents, your family members, you expand, keep expanding it. This is very realistic approach. Keep expanding it, and don't think of the sentient beings, they remain somewhere else in the world, end of the world, end of part of the world, and then you just ignore whoever's around you. For example, your family members, one. And then if you don't know how to take care of your family members, if you keep on fighting with your family members, how can you possibly think of the all sentient beings? The ones who are just nearby, if you cannot really take care of them, if you don't know how to make them happy, how not to hurt them, how can you possibly think of not hurting all sentient beings? One. And then the one who's closest in the most inner circle would be in terms of how much benefit that you've received, generally speaking, 90% of the people is your mothers and your fathers. So, if you don't know how to repay the kindness of your mothers, then how can you possibly think of meditating on bodhicitta, cleansing the mind? Mind of what? Mind of, say, the mental stress, tension, and the afflictions, delusions, and so forth. So first we start from the family, your own family members. So with that mind, just include all the family members, particularly your two parents on the two sides. Okay, let's do that. Bring to visualization your two parents on the two sides in order for you to give them the opportunity to be connected with this mantra, Dhyātam Gati Gati Paragati Parasamgati Bodhisvaha. And all other family members. And all sentient beings now, human beings in India, in the entire world, in the entire Milky Way galaxy, in the entire universe, the human beings, animals, insects, the hungry ghost beings, the hell beings, the Deva Devis, everyone. And you are leading this. And imagine that the Buddha Shakyamuni is so affectionately, so compassionately telling us, exhorting us, don't remain in the fears of samsara, anxiety, stress, tension, and depression and so forth. Come out of it, come towards the ultimate happiness. And you hearing this melodious voice of the Buddha Shakyamuni, you then inspire, you inform your two parents, all sentient beings, look, this is what a compassionate teacher Buddha Shakyamuni is telling us. Let us not stay, let us not remain in the fears of samsara anymore. Let us all go towards ultimate happiness, gati gati, paragati, towards the Buddhahood, towards the ultimate happiness. And all of the sentient beings hearing you, what you are saying, they are so happy to join you. With our mind, let's recite this mantra 7 times. Dhyātam gati gati Page 19, 8 verse of mind training. 8 verse of mind training. This is, so we see that, or finally for us to undertake this journey, gati gati, paragati, parasamgati, bodhisattva, for the journey, it is a common sense for us that we need 2 things. One is that we need to have the direction. We need to know the direction, where we are going. Without knowing the direction, we cannot undertake a proper journey. We need to know the direction. So direction will be given by your intelligence. So intelligence or the wisdom is required to undertake this journey. One, wisdom. So to cultivate this wisdom, we recited the Harsvata mantra. This is primarily to cultivate the wisdom. And then along with the wisdom, after knowing the direction, then you should have the energy to go. Energy to go. Even if you know where you should be going, but if you don't have the energy, then you get stuck. You cannot really move a step ahead. So the enthusiasm, energy is required. So this energy to purify yourself completely, to attain this final happiness, to discover this ultimate treasure within us, treasure of happiness within us. So for that, you should have the enthusiasm, wanting to discover this treasure within us. So this treasure is synonymous. This treasure is synonymous with, with the reaching out to all sentient beings out of compassion. So this enthusiasm to cultivate this wisdom, to cultivate this, to discover this ultimate treasure, so that is synonymous with the unconditional love towards all sentient beings. Only when the unconditional love towards all sentient beings happen, then the desire to cleanse the mind fully and to discover the ultimate treasure will genuinely come to us. So for that matter, the second part is the enthusiasm or the energy. This energy of the enthusiasm. So this enthusiasm to help all sentient beings by the cultivating bodhicitta, or the desire to become enlightened for the benefit of all sentient beings. So this 8 verse of mind training, it is primarily to cultivate compassion or the unconditional love towards other beings, and the counterforce of the unconditional love is the anger, hatred, self, the ego. So these are the counter forces against the unconditional love. So to cultivate this unconditional love of bodhicitta, we need to undermine the negative forces of the anger, hatred, and particularly the element of the anger, the aversion. And the 8 verse of mind training, it is primarily to subdue our ego. All this anger, hatred, and so forth, they're grounded on this self-referential ego. So to subdue that, 8 verse of mind training is taught, and as the anger subsides, as the self-referential ego subsides, automatically it leaves room for compassion. And then somebody may not be so compassionate, may not be as compassionate earlier at one point in time, and then after practicing this 8 verse of mind training, when the anger subsides, you'll be amazed to see that you now can freely you see the flow of compassion happening without much effort. It's because that now you have a room for compassion to flow. The anger, it is already got rid of, and automatically. Earlier, the anger stops you from the flow of the compassion. Now, when the anger is not there, the mind automatically flows. This is so precious. So here, as we read the 8 verse of mind training, if we don't get this, the basic, the background of why the 8 verse of mind training, if you don't know the background, some people may find it really self-denial. Self-denial, self-rejection, self-hate. This is not the case. So what's being said there, for example, say, may I be able to view others as superior, may I view myself as the lowest amongst all. So this is actually to undermine not the self, but to undermine the self-referential ego. So this is the distinction that we need to make. We need to make a distinction between, say, the boosting our self-confidence and undermining the ego, self-referential ego. That is extremely important. So by learning this 8 verse of mind training, by practicing the 8 verse of mind training, our self-confidence should not be undermined. That should be boosted, and the self-referential ego must be undermined. So that is the purpose. And we see that the self-referential ego, it doesn't really do anything good to us. And we get an illusion that by by being, say, by putting on the facade as though like we are so confident. In other words, confident is nothing but the ego. So by boosting your ego, we think that we're going to be safeguarded, we're going to be happy. In actuality, the more egoistic we are, the more unhappy we are. This is the reality. This is the reality, right? And whereas, on the other hand, say we have the self-confidence. When we're encouraged to subdue, undermine ego, we should not get the impression that our self-confidence must be undermined as well. This is not the case. We need to first of all distinguish the two things: ego, self-referential ego, and self-confidence. Self-confidence must not be undermined. This is so precious. This is so precious. If you know this, and if you know the ego is the one which destroys me, not the self-confidence, then you will boost self-confidence, and you see that this self is so important. What is bad is not the self. What is bad is the ego is bad. Self-referential ego, that is bad. You undermine the ego, you hate the ego, but you don't hate yourself. Often people describe themselves as, I hate myself. This is really, really the greatest failure. No one can fail you, only you can fail yourself. When you say that I hate myself, this is the greatest of the failure. We should never hate ourselves. This self is so precious. When the negativities are subdued, then this self has a tremendous capacity to benefit others, to make yourself happy, to make others happy. So this self-confidence, this is not self-confidence, it is not ego. Ego is what destroys us, and self-confidence is what brings happiness. So the study of the 8 verses of mind training, the practice of the 8 verses of mind training, that should be able to just help us distinguish the two things: self-confidence, and promote, nurture, and encourage self-confidence, and undermine the self-referential ego. Okay, this is the purpose. And I remember His Holiness, the Dalai Lama, oftentimes saying that he recites this verse every day. He recites the 8 verses every day. Okay, if we can also do the same thing, that would be extremely good. And me, as a student myself, since then, maybe like 25 or if not 30 years before, when I first heard His Holiness said that, I also started reciting every day, right? So this would be extremely helpful for us. Okay. With the determination to achieve the highest aim, for the benefit of all sentient beings, which surpasses even the wish-fulfilling gem, may hold them dear at all times. Whenever I interact with someone, may I view myself as the lowest amongst all, and from the very depths of my heart, respectfully hold others as superior. In all my deeds, may I probe into my mind, and as soon as mental and emotional afflictions arise, as they endanger myself and others, may I strongly confront them and avert them. When I see beings of unpleasant character, oppressed by strong negativity and suffering, may I hold them dear, for they are rare to find, as if I have discovered a jewel treasure. When others out of jealousy treat me wrongly with abuse, slander, and scorn, may I take upon myself the defeat and offer to others the victory. When someone whom I have helped or in whom I have placed great hopes mistreats me in extremely hurtful ways, may I regard him still as my precious teacher. In brief, may I offer benefit and joy to all my mothers, both directly and indirectly. May I quietly take upon myself all hurts and pains of my mothers. May all this remain undefiled by the stains of 8 mundane concerns, and may I, recognizing all things as illusions, be devoid of clinging, be released from bondage. From my true collections, vast space that I've amassed, from working with effort at this practice for a great length of time, may I become the chief leading Buddha for all those whose minds wisdomized blinded ignorance. Okay, 5 minutes meditation. 5 minutes meditation. Just raise your hands, those who have no exposure to meditation before. Just raise your hands. Okay. Raise your hands. Okay. Okay. So what we will do is that we will Those of us here who already have exposure to meditation, you can just start a meditation and start meditation, and you'll also acquire a skill where somebody's talking and still you can meditate, concentrate. See if you can acquire this skill now. And whereas for others, I would suggest just listen to the instructions. And the meditation, there are so many kinds. Broadly speaking, meditation can be classified into two. One is the analytical meditation, other one is single-pointed meditation. For example, analytical means it has a there's the sharpness. You analyze, you build the sharpness, intelligence. So, finally, our job is to eliminate our ignorance. Ignorance is at the root of all our miseries. So to eradicate ignorance, we need to employ the counterforce, which is the wisdom. So this wisdom has the connotation of the analysis. Wisdom has the connotation of the inquiry, analysis, and the examination. So this analysis is so important to create the awareness, create the knowledge, and create the proper understanding. So this is like in dark, which is like ignorance. To remove the ignorance, we need to have the light. Likewise, so to remove the darkness, we need to have the light. To remove the ignorance, we need to have the wisdom, the light of the wisdom. So this wisdom is like a candle. This wisdom is like a candle. So this candle, we see that candle should have two qualities. One is that it should be very bright. The light should be very bright. One, because the darkness must be expelled. To expel the darkness, we need to have the very bright light. The brightness of the light is one of the characteristics. Number two, even if the light is so bright, but if the light is wavering, if the light is flickery, then it does not fulfill the purpose of the light. The purpose of the light is that the darkness is eliminated and that you're able to read the book. But with the light, but if it is flickery, then you can really read the books. We have the experience. So what we need is that not only the light should be very bright, it should be very steady. The two things. So the brightness is the analytical meditation. The brightness of our mind will be given rise to by the analytical meditation, and the steadiness of the mind will be given rise to by the single-pointed meditation. So what we're going to do now is to build the steadiness of this meditation that we're going to do now is primarily for to build the steadiness of the mind. For that matter, again within that, there are so many kinds. One, the meditations of two kinds, analytical meditation and single-pointed meditation. Two. And what we're going to study now, that is for the analytical meditation. And what we're going to do now, the practice, this is what the single-pointed meditation. Within the single-pointed meditation, again, there are so many kinds. So what we're going to do now is one of the simplest one, yet very effective and beneficial. At times, our mind becomes so disturbed, and then because of which you can easily go into depression and so forth. It is so important that we build a habit of meditating to control our mind, that the mind does not go into depression, does not go into, say, the out of track. So for that matter, for this meditation, we need to keep in mind 4 points. One is body posture. Number 2 is the focal point. Number 3 is identifying the errors of meditation. Number 4 is applying the remedies to overcome the errors. The 4 points. I'm going to give you them very quickly. 1, the body posture. Body posture, sit cross-legged. And if you want to practice sitting meditation for more long-term practice, then you must learn how to sit the cross-legged, the lotus posture. The lotus posture, where your left foot should be on your right thigh, and the right foot should be on your left thigh. So this is This posture will help us to maintain our mind very alert, one, whereas it is not necessary. It is not necessary. If you find it very difficult, don't push yourself. This is not really mandatory, one. Number two is what is important is that the backbone must be upright. Backbone must be upright. This is so important. So oftentimes people are so used to sitting with curved back, bent. This is a very bad posture. So always try to learn how to sit upright. As you keep your body upright, body must be flexible. It should not be rigid. It must be flexible. Flexibility should be there, and your head should be tilted forward a little bit. And then the one point which is so important is don't close your eyes. Don't close your eyes. And so there are people, there are teachers, some of them may teach you to do your meditation with eyes closed. So same, if your teachers, they teach you to meditate with eyes closed, then you can do that, you can learn both then. But here, I would suggest you do with the meditation with eyes open. Okay, this is very important. And there's a reason. I don't want to go into detail here. Eyes half open, 45 degrees cast down. And then the tip of the tongue should touch the upper palate to avoid excessive accumulation of saliva in your mouth. And breathe naturally. Don't hold your breath. Don't control your breath. Don't force your breath. Don't control your breath. And then place your right hand on your left hand and the tips of two thumbs joining, forming a triangle. Place the two hands on your laps in a restful state. Right hand on your left hand and the tips of two thumbs joining, forming a triangle. Place the two hands on your laps in a restful state. Good. And breathe naturally. So this is your body posture. Now the next point is extremely important. What are you going to meditate? What are you going to meditate on? Visualize a very tiny dot, 1 mm or mm in diameter. Very tiny dot, 1 mm or 2 mm in diameter. Very tiny white dot. White dot between nose and upper lip. Between your nose and upper lip. Just visualize a very tiny dot, 1 mm or 2 mm in diameter. And then as you visualize on that dot, multitasking. Count your breath. Breathe in, breathe out. Cycle 1, breathe in, breathe out. Cycle 2. This we're going to do for 5 minutes. For 5 minutes, say, some people, it may go like, say, the 108 breath. So it depends. It depends. So this is the focal point. Number 3 is in your meditation, the errors of meditation, mistakes of meditation. 2 mistakes: mental laxity and a mental excitement. Mental excitement is where your mind starts wandering, getting scattered here and there, and mental laxity is where your mind becomes very heavy and torpor, lethargic, and mental sinking, and the inserviceability. That is mental laxity. And the mental excitement is when your mind is scattered here and there. So these are 2 errors. How to overcome the 2 errors? By resorting to the 2 remedies. What are the 2 remedies? Introspection and mindfulness. Introspection is when you keep an eye on your own mind to see whether your mind is actually meditating or is already in a lax state or in the scattered state. So when you examine that, this is known as introspection. Once you see that your mind is distracted or in a lax state, then you have to bring the mind back to the intended object of the meditation. So bringing back the mind is known as mindfulness. Okay, these are the things that we need to keep in mind. And those of us here who are beginners, really beginners, you don't worry too much. You try to just give an attempt here. And then when you go back, instead of sitting for 5 minutes directly, you can go for like, say 21 cycles. 21 cycles with the breath. Breathe in, breathe out, cycle 1. Breathe in, breathe out, cycle 2. So this is but you can do 21 cycles. 21 cycles is going to be a little over 1 minute. So initially emphasize on the quality, don't emphasize on the quantity. Even if some people are there who sit for like 2 hours sitting in a meditative posture, but the person may not be meditating, may not be just going through the errors of the meditation. So that is not really healthy. Okay, and then if you're really interested, if you're really keen to cultivate, to build a meditation pattern, say the timetable for yourself on a daily basis, then it will be good to seek the help of teachers. Okay, so 5 minutes. Okay, let's turn to one 81, 181, 181. Okay, so I was holding two books with two different editions. So I thought there was a difference, and page number is the same, 181, page 181, and okay, so I hope every one of you have the book. Okay, if you don't have, okay, raise hands those who do not have the book. Okay, anyone else? Okay. So last time what we were doing is these. I think we did stanza 12. Now we are doing stanza 13 and 14. Stanza 13 and 14. We're talking about the precious. We're talking about. To review very quickly, to do a quick review of what we did earlier. So this is the continuation of the earlier classes. What do we seek? What do we seek is one. We think of somebody who took birth. Then as a young child, a teenager, and then later in the college, and then later job. Let's think of the three phases. So it said, as a very young child, you're more keen on the immediate, on the playground, and your food, and so forth, the games, and so forth. And then when you're in the college, then the games and so forth, like the small toys, these things, it's over now. Over. So you seek something else. Say, admission in a good college, and then the scholarships and so forth. Then when you finish your college and universities, then admission, that part, that's finished. All the tension of seeking enrollment here or there in a good reputed, finish. Now the goal has changed. It has become more concrete, a job, to get a respectable job. Okay, so we see that there's a transition happening. The same person goes through three different phases. Likewise, to extract the greatest meaning, to give a greatest meaning to your own life, we see that there are three different phases in our life. So technically it is known as the Lam Rim. Lam meaning the path, Rim meaning the stages or the phases. Three phases of our life. Three phases to give a meaning to our life. One, immediate one, it is technically it is known as the path of the small scope, the path of the middle scope, and the path of the great scope person. Path of the small scope person, middle scope person, and the great scope person. So it is like, the same person, when very immature in your thinking, we only crave for, if somebody asks you, what is the meaning of your life? Or what do you like to accomplish in your life? And people will say, I want more money, or I want the good family, or say good job, or say the good education, and or say respectable, or freedom, privacy. So people seek different things. So that is more the immediate. And then some people they think of, and then they see, for example, say someone who is so rich, so educated, and so influential, right? And then suddenly dies. And, oh, this person has a cancer, that person has a cancer, like this. Then you see, oh, the life, I think the meaning of life, what I thought of the meaning of life is not really the case, right? Not really the case, because I thought, oh, you have ample of money, then at the age of like 60, 65, I retire, then I will have, say I'll have a happy life, or say, then I will become a respectable person. But respectable person dies, and a rich person dies, and a very educated person dies of this, that. Which means that then experientially you'll feel that this alone, money alone, the repute alone, these are not the real meaning for life. You will come to sense it. There must be something, there should be something else. And then you will see that I'm also in this line. Then it is like we will start feeling as though like we're a guest. If you're a guest for 3 days, if you're a guest in one place for 3 days, so for example in Delhi, if you're a guest in Delhi for 3 days, and then the place is so hot, would you think of buying AC? Ordering AC, Amazon, then you ask for AC, and it may take another 4 working days to come. But that time, your time is to leave. You're a guest. So coming to know that you are a guest, many of the things which we consider so important, they start to lose their, say, the tangibility. You start seeing them as trivial, right? Trivial, which means that trivial means there's something more important than that. Right? So when we see that I'm a guest on this earth, look at this person with cancer, look at that person with cancer. In fact, just recently, the last few months, I've been just listening. My job is to listen to all these stories. That is my job. To listen to, okay, somebody says, there's now this person going through cancer, would you mind sending some words of consolation and so forth. Then I would say something. And then again another person, so like this, my friends, my relatives, people who I met earlier, their friends, like this. So this, I'm constantly hearing all these things, right? And this is a fact. And it's not that these are the unfortunate people. We are in the row. Keep that in mind. We are in the row. Not that they are the unfortunate ones, we are the lucky ones. Right? No, that's not true. We are in the row. It's just a matter of time. When? We never know. Okay. So once that becomes more prominent in our mind, then some people, they go to the extreme. They leave everything. Right? They leave everything. They see that this is total, it has no meaning, it's just nothing. I have to go into pure spirituality. And if the person's maturation is really great, that is amazing. If the maturation is so less, it is a very dangerous step. So the wisest step would be, don't leave. While being there, make whatever you do meaningful. Meaningful in what sense? If you're a guest for 3 days, then think of the actions that I do would be of benefit after 3 days. Right? say when we come to know that I'm a guest on this earth, today I'm a guest on this earth, then which means that this life is short, then after the death, then the next life. Okay, for this, the next life, the question arises, how do we know that there's a next life? This is a question. Okay, this is a not only a question, this is a very serious question. This is a very serious question, right? So how do we know that there's next life? For this, to make it very quick, what we have is the body and the mind. If something travels to the next life, for sure we can be guaranteed that the body does not travel. So it should be the mind. The next question, how do we know that there is a mind which is different from the brain? This is the next question. How do we know? Only if we know that there's a mind which is different from the brain, and when the body, including the brain, is left behind, the mind continues the journey. That is next life. But the question is, how do we know that this mind is different from the brain? This is a very, very serious question. Okay, so those of us here who are interested in this, we have to study Pramana Vartika chapter 2, right? Pramana Vartika, I would say that this is the best book on rationalizing the concept of rebirth. This is so wonderful, amazing book written in 7th century AD. Okay, so with this, let's say that we have all the clues that the rebirth is there. Then if the rebirth is there, then the next life. It is like, say, yesterday I fell asleep, and this morning I woke up, and then again there's a new life. Today there's new life, which was absent yesterday. New life. Like that. Then I die, and the next, again I come back as the living being, wherever, as a living being, again with the same feeling, wanting happiness, not wanting suffering, the same thing. Same pattern follows. Then the question is, what kind of life will I take next time? What kind of life? Say, for example, how many people are enhancing the terrace today, just now, when we are in this hall, fearlessly we are sitting in this hall. How many people are in the hands of the terrorists right now? How many are being just tortured by the terrorists today, just now? And how can we guarantee that next life we will not take birth in the hands of the terrorists? And what natural disaster is happening, and how many are trapped there in the natural disaster just right now, right? So if you think like this, it's very scary. So next life, how can I guarantee that I will not be in the hands of terrorists? How can I guarantee that I will not be trapped in the natural disasters, right? And I will not be born in the chicken in the KFC. Right? Yeah, that's a very serious question. It's very serious. It's very serious. In fact, so these things, if we can take note of, is very scary. It's very scary. It's very scary. So at one point, I think it was around the time of the Buddha, there was one gentleman, and the gentleman, he was going through a miserable life. Then he consulted an astrologer, or some guru astrologer, and the astrologer happened to be, someone who's simply keen on animal sacrifice. So the astrologer said that, okay, the only solution that can help you to have a prosperous life is by performing animal sacrifice. So killing, say, animals, the buffaloes. Then he started to do that. And then, unfortunately, it's not really fortunately, it's unfortunately, right? Say something, little change happened. Then over time, he had his son. Then he was about to die. Then he called his son and told him that, okay, now look, so our family survived thus far because of the animal sacrifice. So even if I die, you have to continue doing this. This is the ritual of our family. So the father handed this down to the son to accumulate this negative karma of killing. And then the father, the father took birth as buffalo, and then when in hand of the son killed 7 times. 7 times. So the father, it is like telling the father that I'm going to take birth as a buffalo and you kill me 7 times. This is exactly what happened. So therefore, KFC, it is worthwhile to think very seriously, right? Because let us not only think about today. Those who only think about today, these are known as the children, small children. Small children, they cannot see 10 years later. If the mother gives the choice to the child, what do you like to do? You will go to college, you will go to school, or on the playground, they will say that I'll go to the playground. They see only today. So those who do not see far away, they are known as childish, they are known as children. So those who see only this life, not beyond, they are known as children, childish, childlike. So better would be childlike. Childish is very strong, say childlike, because they don't see beyond. So therefore, the point is that the next life is there, yeah. Then what can I do to make sure that next life I'm protected, that I don't go in the hands of the terrorists, that I don't go in the traps of the natural disasters and so forth. What should I do? Okay, so that person thinks something deeper, something more than what the ordinary people think. You're getting it? Okay, so that person who's able to think a little more than this life, that person is known as a spiritual person. A spiritual person. Within the spiritual person, we see spiritual person of the small scope, these following the small scope, the small scope teaching, and then following the middle scope teaching, following the great scope teaching. Right? Now, the benchmark or the benchmark of someone who's classified as a spiritual is someone who can think about the beyond this life, next life onwards. Okay, now within that category we see that there are three. There are three depending on the goals. There are 3 different goals. 3 different goals. One is that, okay, tomorrow, let's say about tomorrow. Okay, tomorrow, today, my friend, right? Today, the person came to me and he was nasty to me. And tomorrow again I will face the same treatment from this person. How to avoid that? You think about tomorrow, not only today, tomorrow, right? Okay, tomorrow somehow I'll make sure that I don't see that person tomorrow. Fine, right? Fine. Then what about day after tomorrow? Then day after tomorrow again you go to the boss and say that give me that job so that I will not see that person. Number 2. How long are you going to do this? How long are you going to do this? If you are a very wise person, what will you do? Either you will change your job. You will change your job altogether, that you don't see this person. Or if you're even more powerful, you can transfer this person to somewhere else. Right? You have to do something. That simply by asking your job, please tomorrow send me there, tomorrow send me there. After some time your job will become tired. Right? Then will not pay no heed to you. Okay. So one thing is you will think about just the immediate tomorrow. Okay, tomorrow, so that I will not have the problem, I will not meet with this person. This is one way of thinking. Next one is that how can I get out of this problem altogether? So If I keep doing like this, how long can I do this? How can I get rid of this problem altogether? You getting it? Number 2. And then you tell me which of the 3 categories is the wisest. The number 3 is that not only that how can I be removed from this problem, how can I save all others, all my colleagues from going through this problem? This same problem. There are 3 categories. Of the 3, tell me who is the one with the greatest thought? The first, second, third. Third. And who is the mediocre one? Second. And who is the least? The first one. So we have 3 goals. The 3 goals are: 1, to achieve the immediate happiness in the next life. Immediate wholesome life the next time, next life. That is 1. That you don't take birth in the lower realms, that you don't end up in the hands of the terrorists in the next life. 1. Then the next one is how to get out of the places where you're going to be confronted by these problems. How can you get out of this problem altogether? In other words, how to get out of samsara altogether. Number 2. So that you don't have to worry about having to take birth in the hands of the terrorists, about having to take birth in the lower realms, about having to take birth in a place frequented with the natural disasters and so forth, right? This is number 2. Number 3 is, how can I benefit all sentient beings so that the other beings don't suffer at all in the future? So 3. So the first one, who aims for the immediate wholesome birth next time, that is known as the beings of the small scope beings. Then who seek total freedom from samsara altogether. Total freedom from samsara altogether. In other words, nirvana. Who seeks nirvana is known as the person of the middle scope. And then finally, who seeks total enlightenment or Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings is known as the person of the great scope. In other words, the 3 goals. What are the 3 goals? First one, the immediate goal is what? That next life you have a wholesome birth. Wholesome birth, the next life. The next life. 1. What is the second goal? Nirvana. What is nirvana? Total freedom from samsara. Even if you have a good birth next time, but what about the 5th life, 10th life, after 100 lifetimes? Right? Who can guarantee? Okay, maybe the virtue that I do today may be able to guarantee me that I will have a good birth the next 10 lives or 100 lives. In some cases, 500 lives. But 500, one day the 500 lives will come to an end. Then what will guarantee me that after that I will still have a virtuous, say, the wholesome birth? No guarantee. No guarantee. For example, if I say that, okay, you will have who can guarantee that you are going to have, say, the proper food tomorrow? Most of us will raise a hand, provided we don't die untimely, right? We'll raise a hand. If I ask you, who can guarantee, raise a hand, who can guarantee that you will have a proper food? Proper food, right? Proper food, no worry, after 30 years. After 30 years, nobody can raise their hands. After 30 years, we cannot predict what it will become. We never know, right? In fact, in my own eyes, I've seen people who were so rich at one point and suddenly go into liquidation, go into total poverty, suddenly. And then somebody who having some millions of dollars, and the next day, all these $1 million gone because of the bankruptcy, right? So these things happen because of the downturn of the economy. So this is totally unpredictable. So tomorrow we can say, yes, tomorrow I'll have a decent food, I know, I'm very confident. Then for 1 year, okay, I'm not too sure. After 30 years, 100% not sure, right? Okay, so now, how to get out of this problem altogether. That is, how to get out of samsara altogether. This is known as seeking nirvana. Number 2. Number 3 is, not only I will be liberated, how can I liberate all beings? That is, only if I become Buddha, full enlightenment, right? So the gold, when you speak about the gold, where the true nature of mind becomes manifest. True nature of mind becomes manifest. The gold mixed with the soil, the gold comes out. The gold comes out by removing the soil. So now, after removing the soil, gold comes out. Within what is seen as gold, you see the variation in the degree of the purity of the gold. You agree with me or not? Right? Degree of the purity of the gold. So, on the basis of how pure the gold is, that determines the cost of the gold. So, when you achieve nirvana, the purity of your mind has to reach to a great level of purity, but it's not perfectly purified. So when you become perfectly purified, then you become it's not only nirvana, you achieve Buddhahood. That is the total purification. So there are three goals. One is immediate wholesome birth next time. Number two is nirvana. Number three is Buddhahood. Right? So initially we need to have the aspiration. Okay, to make sure that to achieve Buddhahood will take some time. It's not easy, right? And yesterday there was someone who said that even 3 countless eons is so less. Somebody said it. 3 countless eons is so less. But it is enormous, amazing, right? So it'll take that long to achieve total Buddhahood. So for that matter, if you don't achieve enlightenment, then we're going to stay. Before we achieve enlightenment, we're going to stay there in samsara, right? In samsara. So while in samsara, better take a place which is nicer, which is more wholesome, right? Wholesome, so that you can continue doing your own dharma practice and so forth. You can continue the journey. Okay, for that matter, we have to have the aspiration for the first goal, because without the aspiration of first goal, then we cannot really undertake this journey towards Buddhahood. Gate, para, Sambuddha, Bodhisattva, they cannot be undertaken. One. Then number two. What's the number two goal? Nirvana. What is nirvana? To achieve freedom from samsara altogether. That you don't have to worry about sickness, aging, death, and so forth at all. Right? You don't have to worry at all. Okay. So that is the second goal. So we do have to have that aspiration for the second goal also, at the second phase. Once we're matured in the first goal, with the first goal, aspiration for the first goal, then we need to have the aspiration for the second goal also. Right? How? Unless we have the experience of what is to be in samsara, how painful it is in samsara, we cannot possibly think of removing the pains of other sentient beings. Right? Okay, tell me. If there are two people, one who has the experience of, say, the toothache, and one who has no experience of the toothache, and third person is going through acute toothache, and which of the two person you think person A or B will be able to empathize with person C? A, who had experience of toothache, B, who did not have any experience of toothache. Which of the two do you think will be able to empathize with person C, who is going through the toothache now? A. Because of personal experience. Right? Okay, in fact, what happened was that there was a Tibetan family. And one point, the wife was going through an acute toothache. You know the story? Some of you may know this. Okay, the wife was going through an acute toothache, and the wife was, because the toothache is so acute that the wife was literally crying. And the husband asked her, "Hey, what are you doing? Why are you crying?" Then she said, "I have an acute toothache." And the husband said that, "Why are you crying over the bone, piece of bone? It's just a piece of bone. Piece of bone, there is no pain. You are lying." Right? Okay, so the wife could not say anything, right? Because the husband did not have any experience of the toothache. He sees the tooth, teeth is just as like the bone, with nothing to do with the pains and so forth. So he said that you are just the faking, you are just deceiving me. Then after a while, after maybe 1 or 2 years, the husband had the toothache. And the husband was crying. Husband was crying in pain. And the wife asked him, hey, what happened to you? Why are you crying? Then he said that I have a toothache. It's so acutely painful. Then she said, why should you cry over a bone? Bone doesn't have any feeling. She said the same thing what he said earlier. And then you know what the reply he gave? He said that the male's bone and the female's bone, there's a difference. Right? Okay, so the point is that if one does not have the experience of the pain yourself, you cannot really empathize with others so well. You're getting it? The more you experience pain yourself, more the capacity for you to empathize with others' pain is possible. So with this, in this regard, only if you have the pain of what is meant by samsara, to be in samsara, then you can empathize with others, that others should also be free from samsara. You're getting it? Okay, for that matter, the second phase that we have to go through is that I must be free from samsara. Samsara is so painful. That aspiration must be there. So when you reach that level, you are upgraded from the small scope to the middle scope. Then once you reach that level, okay, now then you practice the way we're going to describe here. You practice. After practicing, then you realize, okay, now I'm confident that with this kind of practice, I'll be able to practice the wisdom of emptiness. Practice of wisdom of emptiness, I'll be in a position to get out of samsara altogether. Okay, but what about my very affectionate mother? What about my very affectionate father? My siblings, my relatives, and all sentient beings, they're suffering. So if I'm liberated and they are still suffering, this is not really fair. So how can a mother who is so loving to her child, and the child is going through, say, hunger, starvation, and the mother somehow, while looking for the food for the child, mother ends up in a place where there's a party going, and the mother forgets the child and then keeps relishing the food. Is this possible? If a mother loves the child so much, this is not at all possible. The moment she finds a very delicious food, the first thought that will come to the mother is the child. How I wish that the child is here, or will take the food, and without eating anything, she will take it there to the child. You're getting it? So there, with this amount of the love that you feel towards sentient beings, the way the mother feels towards her child, then you see that I must liberate all beings, because I have the experience of what samsara is, and I don't want to be in samsara. Likewise, all sentient beings should not be in samsara. I must liberate them. So this will come if you really feel the tremendous love and affection, the way the mother feels towards the child. And this love and affection, if we think today, do I really have this amount of love, the way the mother would feel towards the child, towards the only child? Do I have the same amount of love towards all other beings? I don't have it. How can I cultivate it? This next question. How can I cultivate it? And it is 100% possible that we can cultivate this amount of love. And the good news is that if we really cultivate this love and affection towards others, the way the mother feels towards the child, particularly when the child is so dependent on you, this love and affection towards the child is so intense. So more intense than the love the mother feels towards the tender child is that the love that you can cultivate towards all sentient beings. That is very much possible. And when you start feeling this, you see that you forget your pains. And then your pains will disappear. This is amazing. While in the process of cultivating love for others and helping others, your pain disappears. And what we want is we want happiness. What we don't want is we don't want suffering. And the suffering disappears when you start reaching out to sentient beings. So that aspiration to help all sentient beings, that all beings be free from suffering, is known as bodhicitta. Bodhicitta, aspiration for Buddhahood, total enlightenment. So 3 aspirations should come to us in a sequential way. So like a child growing from the first phase of the teenager to the young adult to the experienced adult, 3, right? Okay, so we are on page 181. The practice of a person of the lower scope meaning the first phase. Lower scope, what is the goal of the lower scope? Is to achieve a favorable life the next life. A wholesome birth, next life. Okay. So for that, how can we cultivate this thought? It says, this birth of leisure is more precious than a wish-fulfilling gem. Wish-fulfilling gem, I don't know how many, the younger ones may not have any clue of as to what it means by wish-fulfilling gem. There is a legend. The legend. The legend has said that they were wish-fulfilling gems, like let's say diamond or whatever. And some say that diamond is known as the wish-fulfilling gem. So anyway, the legend has it that there is some kind of precious gem there, very holy item there, and then you say prayers to this gem. You utter your wishes. May this happen to me, may that happen to me, and so forth. Whatever wishes that you express, and then this gem will answer this, will accomplish, make you accomplish that, whatever the wishes that you have in your mind. So that is accomplished. So that gem is known as the wish-fulfilling gem. Now the one thing is that this wish-fulfilling gem, while it is said to have the capacity to fulfill your wishes are 2 kinds. The wishes of this life and the wishes of the next lives, the later lives too. So the wishes of this life can be accomplished by this gem, but the wishes of the life after cannot be accomplished by this wish-fulfilling gem. You getting it? So whereas this human birth has the capacity to fulfill the wishes of not only this life, but also of the later lives. Because with this human birth, we can think about the practice of the 10 virtues. With the practice of 10 virtues, you will achieve the first goal. Then on top of that, with the practice of the 3 trainings, training in the shield, samadhi, and gyan, which is wisdom, concentration, and morality. With these 3 things, we see that we have we are liberated from samsara, we achieve nirvana. Number 2. Then number 3 is what? With the practice of the bodhicitta, with the practice of 6 perfections, then you achieve the Buddhahood. Okay, so the point is that with this human body, we can practice all these things. Say, for the first goal, we practice the 10 virtues. For the second goal, we practice the 3 trainings. 3 trainings, particularly with the wisdom, because the ignorance has to be cut to achieve nirvana. So this ignorance will be cut by the wisdom, right? Wisdom, samadhi, and shield, 3. And then to achieve the highest goal, in like the Buddhahood, we practice that's 6 perfections, right? So we see that all these things can be practiced with us having obtained this human birth. With this human birth, we can practice these. And then the greatest of the wish that somebody can have is the wish to become. What is the greatest accomplished that you can possibly think? You can possibly think. What is the greatest aspiration?
To never come back to samsara.
To achieve nirvana. This is what you're saying. To achieve nirvana. Anyone else? To achieve Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings, right? And then say, for some may say that I want wealth, say I want prestige, and so forth. So for all these aspirations, we see that all the aspirations will be accomplished to its fullest if you achieve Buddhahood. if you achieve total enlightenment, all aspirations will be achieved, right? So we see that even the Buddhahood is something which we can achieve, which is the greatest aspiration we can achieve with the help of this human birth. If you can use this human birth in a productive way. So it says, this birth of leisure is more precious than a wish-fulfilling gem. Now to go into more, we don't have much time, otherwise this precious human birth, that is described as precious for two reasons. One, because it has the quality of the leisure, 8 leisures, and then it is the quality of the endowment. See, the 10 endowments, meaning, say, to make simple, for example, the leisure meaning, we have the leisure of the time. We have the leisure of, say, having the proper, say, the faculties. We have the faculties intact, for example, the eye faculties, nose faculties, body faculties, everything intact. We have the proper, we are not abnormal, right? And then say that we are not born as, say, the helping, hungry ghost being, or the, say, one thing is the long life deities, the Devadevis, although this is nice from one point of view, or from the point of view of Dharma practice, this is considered very harmful, because one have this long life, you take birth as long life Devadevi, then the problem is that we forget to practice Dharma. The keenness to practice Dharma doesn't come. Okay, so actually we have to go into detail of what is these 18 leisure endowments are. But we'll quickly do this now. Same. This birth of leisure is more precious than wish-fulfilling gem. With this precious human birth, we can actually practice all those things which will actually help us accomplish the 3 goals. And this is the greatest thing. If we have a boat which can take us to the treasure island, and if we don't use this boat, what is the use? We are being so unwise if we don't use the boat. And this boat has the capacity to take you to the treasure island. And then we remain beggar, we remain so poor while not using this, because of not using this boat to take us to the treasure island. Likewise, this human birth is like a boat. It's a very precious boat which can take us to the greatest of the treasure island of the total enlightenment. Okay. Found but once, it is as brave as a flash of lightning. So this boat, let's say, this boat is so precious, but this boat will remain functional for only, say, few months, and then it will break. It'll break. Then within that few months, one must be able to use it, utilize it. Likewise, this precious boat that we have, obtained the human birth, and we may have this thought only when we encounter with other people, having going through this sickness, going from that cancer and so forth, and particularly those people who were with you for the last many years together. Then it strikes us with a little bit of fear, sense of urgency. Otherwise, we hear, oh, somebody had a cancer like this, then it's as though they are the unfortunate ones, then I'm the unfortunate ones, that I never died till today. How many of you died till today? From the time of birth till now? So why should I die? Till today I did not die, right? And why should I die? I'll not die. Okay, the next 30 years, next 40 years, we plan like this. So this is illusion. Even those people who are going through this, the last stage cancer, they also did not die until that point, right? Now they're going through this phase. So it can happen to us any time. So it says that this boat, which is so precious, which has the capacity to take us to the treasure island of Buddhahood, this boat is just found once. It's like a great, by luck, we obtained this. And to obtain this human birth is so difficult. Okay.
It is a brief as flash of lightning. After obtaining that, it can disappear anytime. It is so brief. How to obtain it is easily lost. Very difficult to obtain it. Once obtained it is very easily lost. Impermanence of the death of this. Reflecting thus, realize that worldly activities are merely like the husk of a grain. Right? So reflecting thus that this precious human birth, this is so precious, so it has a tremendous benefit if I utilize it wisely. But which is so precious, it can degenerate, it can disappear. I can lose it anytime, so easily. So therefore, this boat, because it's so precious and I can keep it for just for very short period of time, I should not waste time for the trivial things. This boat I should not use to collect the pebbles. I should go to the treasure island to collect the treasures. Likewise, this human birth I should not use this to just gain the material gains, to gain the fame and so forth, but I should use this to achieve these three goals, not just the trivialities, to achieve the three goals. Reflecting thus, realize the worldly activities meaning just for the sake of money, just for the sake of the name, fame, so forth. This is just being so unwise, are merely like the husk of grain and strive day and night to take its essence. The Venerable Guru practice in this manner, I, the seeker of liberation, will do likewise. Okay. Then, if this is the sense of urgency that comes to us, what should I be doing now? How should I use this the boat like the human life meaningfully? How should I do this? Stanza 15-16. There is no certainty that after that lower rebirth does await. Right? So after this death, then the next life, we're going to take birth. Lower birth, like the hell realm, hound ghost realm, animal realm. There is no guarantee that we will not take birth there, or they will take there. No guarantee. But it is certain that the three jewels have the power to protect you from these fears. So, if this is danger, who has the capacity to protect us from that? So, the three jewels have the perfect power. What are the three jewels? The Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. And the question is, okay, so I will say praise to the three jewels. I will always request the three jewels. Please don't send me to the lower realms next life, right? Three jewels will never send you there. Right? They will never send. Buddha will never send you. If the Buddha has that perfect authority, he will never send anyone there. But we go there. How? It is because of our own, say, negativities, on our own negativities. Then how can the three jewels have the power to help us? The Buddha help us not by dragging us from samsara, right? Buddha help us by giving guidance, how to get out. Buddha help us by giving guidance. Dharma help us by serving as the medicine. We have to practice. Buddha will teach us how to practice the 10 virtues, how to practice the morality of refraining from the 10 non-virtues, how to practice the 10 virtues. The Buddha will teach us. And then our job is to practice the 10 virtues. We have to practice 10 virtues. That is the Dharma, right? And then the Sangha, people who practice the 10 virtues around you, people who are striving in this practice, be around these people more rather than be, who disregard the 10 virtues, right? So this is meaning of if we resort to the three jewels in this fashion, instead of you keep a Buddha image and you always, so say you do pujas and so forth, and then call upon Buddha, Dharma and Sangha. I learned that the three jewels have the power to help me, right? Please help me. And then you go to your job. Then you, from your side, you don't put any effort in practicing the 10 virtues. And then in the mornings and the evenings, you tell the Buddha, please do that for me. This is not the way. This is not the way. How the three jewels have the power to help us is the Buddha serving as the guide. So we have to listen to the guide. And Dharma serving as the medicine. We have to practice what the Buddha taught. And then the Sangha serving as the nurse. That we should always go with the Sangha members, people who practice the 10 virtues. Only then we will be protected from the taking birth in the lower realms in the next life. Protect you from these fears. Therefore, taking refuge resolutely, refuge in Buddha, Dharma and Sangha resolutely. Do not let the refuge instructions degenerate. Say for the Buddha, by taking refuge in the Buddha, you are not to say denigrate, to degenerate the refuge instruction pertaining to Buddha. Say the Buddha, the one Buddha, not necessarily, don't think that Buddha means that Buddhism. This is not what we should be thinking. Say a being who has practiced, a being who practiced the same, who practice all the means and the ways, and to get out of the three problems and achieve the three goals. Achieve the three goals, that person was known as Buddha. And so one of the examples is Buddha Shakyamuni. And each one of us, we can become a Buddha if you put effort. Okay, so therefore taking the refuge resolutely, do not let the refuge instructions degenerate. Meaning that by following taking refuge in the Buddha, we should make sure that the same. I will only follow the instructions. I will only follow the instructions of those who have really gone through this path. Gati gati, paragati parasamgati Buddhism. Someone who had really experience of having been to the place which I'm aspiring to achieve. Right? That is the how not to degenerate the instruction of the refuge of the Buddha. Dharma is by practicing the 10 virtues, and then not disregarding the practice of 10 virtues, and say the Dharma, the Buddha's teachings, the Dharma is grounded in compassion. So we should always maintain the thought of compassion as a ground for all the practice that we do. In other words, make simple that I will try my best, to the best I can. To the best I can, I practice the morality of not engaging in the 10 non-virtuous actions. To the best I can. So, say we engage in the practices of the 10 virtues, and then, for example, say once in a while something can happen, right? And then you regret. But the point is that we have to keep growing all the time. We may not be strong initially. And then see if you are like, say, 10% strong, you will just fall like 90%. And then you keep growing. Enthusiasm must be there. From your side, put all your efforts and be in the proper environment. So like this, then we keep growing from 10 to 20%. We become a little stronger. 20, again put effort, try your best. The thing is that we are in samsara, and because that we are not really 100% strong, because we are not strong, we are building the strength. Building the strength is the meaning of gati, gati, paragati, right? So as we build the strength, the point is that you don't disregard what we should be doing, practice of 10 virtues and so forth. Just see, don't disregard. Always keep in mind that this is so precious. Practice of the 10 virtues is so precious. I should be doing it. And should it happen that you lapse, again with the regret, you become stronger. You stand up. you become stronger. This is how we should keep growing. The point is that we should keep growing. This is so precious. Okay. Then the Sangha. The Sangha, says Sangha meaning, say, within your spiritual groups, so people who are more keen on the practice of the 10 virtues. Okay, 10 virtues, 3 physical virtues, 4 verbal virtues, and the 3 mental. So if we abide by the 10 virtues, of course there are so many virtues, summarized in a very coarse form, the 10 virtues. If you practice the 10 virtues well, then the next life is guaranteed. Next life we are going to have the favorable birth, freed from having to take birth in the, say, in the hands of terrorists like this. We will be freed, we'll be taken care of next life. So this is guaranteed. Okay, for that matter, say on the, that is the, okay, the 3 physical and the 4 verbal and the 3 mental, right? So this is, see, we learn, for example, say here in Tibet House, the London Master's course, we learn a lot about the philosophy, psychology, logic, and so forth. Amazingly profound teachings. So, and some people say, what's the point if you don't practice? Some people say that. This is also wrong. Even to study these things is so precious. Meanwhile, those of us who really study these things, like the complicated philosophy taught by the Buddha, after studying all these things, see how much the idea is that, for example, as I said earlier, the point is that, say, the gold mixed with the soil, soil is of several layers, very coarse, then the mediocre, and then very subtle, right? Very coarse, the subtle, and the very subtle. So likewise, our mind, how that is defiled. It is defiled in this form, very coarsely defiled, and then subtly defiled, and very subtly defiled, right? So very coarsely defiled, that is when the mind manifests the negativities physically, verbally, and mentally. This is known as the karmas, contaminated actions, the bodily, verbally, and mentally. So when the negative thoughts reflect in the form of the actions, these are known as contaminated karmas. 1, this is the most gross form. So these gross forms, underlying these gross forms is the subtle ones, which is the thought processes. Thought processes which drive us to engage physically, being very nasty towards others. So that is the thought process. Thought process drives you to speak harshly. So the thought processes. These thought processes which drive us in engaging in negativities, these thought processes are known as afflictions. Number 2. That is the subtly, I'll say, subtle defilements. Then the subtlest, even these thought processes, they are driven by the ignorance. Say for example, in a dream, we dream of meeting with a nasty person, and then you start having the fight with the person. So this fight is the physical action, and then this physical action is because you saw that person very nasty, you were very angry to this person. That is the emotional state. Physical action driven by the emotional state, and this emotional state is because of the ignorance, seeing that dream nasty person as the real nasty person. Right? When you wake up, this anger will dissolve. Right? This anger will dissolve, and you will stop fighting with that person. So, anger is the affliction that stops. Because the anger subsides, your fight also stops. Physical expression of the aggression stops. So this all happens because of waking up. Right? So for us to wake up, to see everything like a dream, this is the final solution to all our problems, but to reach to that level is quite challenging. It'll take a little time. So initially, this is more like the working on the subtlest level of the mind. So for that matter, first of all, we have to see how the gross turbulence, we can stop the gross turbulence. Like what's the gross turbulence? Physical verbal, and mental actions. 10 non-virtuous actions. So 3 physical. What are the 3 physical? Stealing, killing, and sexual misconduct. So these 3 things, right? Killing, stealing, and sexual misconduct. Okay, so see how much we can refrain from these 3. For example, say killing. Killing, say killing mosquitoes, killing, say, the insects, and killing human beings. Of course, this is worst, right? And then something related, may not be direct, but related, like being so keen on non-veg and so forth. So these are related. It's not direct. They're not direct. They're not as heavy a negativity as actually killing, but they are close. They're related. They are okay. So the point is, see how much we can. See how much we can say, oh, we are totally dark, totally we are black. Oh, you are very black. You have to become white. And then say, tomorrow I should become white. No, that's not possible. From the black, if you can become gray. From the dark, if you become gray, it's good, it's amazing. From the gray, it should become a little lighter, and then slowly. This is the progress that we have to imagine, right? So just see. So for this, what is important is that from your side, even though we are not perfect as yet, at least effort, mentally seeing that all these miseries that I'm experiencing through, not the world, all the miseries that I'm experiencing through is because of these negative actions. So see, I will try my best to do away from these negative actions. 1, dissociate oneself from directly engaging in killing, like killing mosquitoes, killing ants, and so forth. And it's real pathetic because of the wrong philosophy. Because of some, they don't hesitate to kill the insects. This is very unfortunate. So therefore, to take birth, for example, say we the same person, and some people are with a very bad environment where we are badly influenced and we become the drug addicts, we become alcoholics, we become, say, the gangsters and so forth. Same person, if in the good company, the person can become a genius. So the environment makes a whole difference, right? Likewise, meeting with the correct philosophy, meeting with the correct, say, the teaching of life skills, that is so precious. So if you know how to take care of the tiny insects, we will know how to take care of the animals, the cats, dogs, and so forth. If you know how to take care of the cats, dogs, and so forth, we could know how to take care of the human beings. Yes, Mithun?
I have this question that if we are walking on grass or on a pathway, then there are very tiny insects which we cannot see. Are not they bound to die under our feet just by mere walking?
Okay, so let's say that, so there, say if you are 80%, if say if we are 40% good, 60% not good, 40% good, don't expect the next day you become 100% good. See that you become 50% good. From 40, see if you can improve to 41, 42, 45, 50, like this. As long as there's improvement, this is so good, right? Say for example, say this thought that you have, say walking on the grass will kill the many insects, or even here, right? So this is a very good concern. But this is one thing, and the immediate people, if disregard, which we can visibly see, if you are being so cold-hearted to a person next to you, and we are concerned about the insects, invisible insects on the road. This is a dichotomy. This is the total contradiction. So first thing is, those who are visible, take care of them. Those who are visible, take care of them. At least the human beings. First learn how to take care of the human beings. And then say if you can take care of the animals in the streets, the dogs in the streets. They are visible, right? And then those who are not visible in the KFCs, if you can slowly do away from, going for being so keen on KFCs, just see how we can, if you go to KFC every day, if you could make it once every week, once in a week, and then slowly once in a month, then slowly bye altogether, right? Just see if we can take these steps. That is how then we can grow. Otherwise, what we can do, we don't do it. What we can do, this is the point. What we can do, we just ignore. What we cannot do, just theoretically we go into too sophisticated, complicated things. This doesn't really help. So what we can do, that we have to do. Say people who are around you, be considerate towards those people, right? Be compassionate towards those people. Okay, so these are see what steps that we can take. Yes, inshallah.
Very much connected to Mithun's one. How to manage cockroaches and all, because there are you have chemicals available and things like that, and there are maybe some these things I have no idea, but how should a Buddhist approach this kind of thing?
Okay, let's say.
Killing pests.
Let's say that somebody has lots of cockroaches in the kitchen. How should I deal with this? This is a question, right? This is a question. Okay, let us not waste the time so much. This is a question. From Buddhist point of view, how should we deal with this point, right? Okay, practically speaking, because we are running out of time, practically speaking, it happened to me once. What happened was that I received lots of, say, tsambas. Tsamba means roasted, grounded barleys, right? Roasted, grounded barleys, which we can easily, directly eat. Even with water we can eat, right? I had so much of those in my room. And then my relatives came. And then there's, your room is so dirty, your kitchen is so dirty. They cleaned up the whole kitchen, right? And everything, all these things disappeared. All these tambas, the roasted barley, all disappeared. And on the one hand, I was so relieved I could not eat them. And they disappeared, and the kitchen looked so nice, so clean. After about 2 months, I could see the cockroaches, one here, coming here, coming here. Where is this coming from? That was the question. Then at one point, I think maybe the weekend, that I was trying to cook, to take out the utensils. I opened the lower cupboard. Hundreds of cockroaches came out. What happened was that those relatives were so kind to clean up the kitchen. How did they clean? They put all these edibles in the corner of that cupboard inside, which I could not see. And then the cockroaches, then they started breeding on this. Breeding, hundreds there. They don't have to worry, they don't have to go out. Food is enough there in that cupboard. I opened it and hundreds of cockroaches are there. Okay, so if you know how I dealt with this, then you get the answer. Okay, so what I did was that I took out all the tsambas. Then later on, when my relatives come, the first thing that I tell them is, please don't touch my kitchen. This is the first thing that I tell my relatives. Whatever edible there is, don't touch, right? If they are to be thrown, I'll throw, right? Otherwise, they keep them into the corner, and then you are encouraging the cockroaches to breed. Okay, so what I did was that I removed All the sambas kept little samba there inside, so that the cockroaches can still eat, and they'll survive, right? And so when the food is less, then they will stop breeding. They'll stop breeding, right? Okay, and then on the surface, whatever is on the surface, keep them as clean as possible. Particularly the edibles, don't keep them open. Must be, closely with the lid. Then I'll say the food, we see that as the food is less, the cockroaches, they don't breed. They slowly, it'll take time. Meanwhile, keep this in mind, that the windows in the kitchen, if there's windows and there's a line of kitchens, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 kitchens in line, vertically, and then one cockroach from one kitchen can invade the next kitchen like this. Make sure that your windows, they are properly closed with the mesh, with the iron mesh or the whatever, the jelly. You put the jelly there so that the cockroaches from other places cannot invade you, right? And then inside, make sure that you keep it as clean. So whatever cockroaches are there, and what happened was that, and the 2 or 3 cockroaches, they even came to my bedroom. So eventually they become the roommate. Yeah, they become my roommate. And then at one particular time, they would come out. And then say when I'm eating some food or biscuits, and then small pieces are left there, they would come to eat them. I would give them some biscuits and let them retire. So they were my roommates for some days. And then slowly, even that disappears. The only thing is that don't encourage them by, keeping your food unattended. They will disappear. Okay, one. The next thing is, don't use don't use the chemicals and so forth direct on them, right? So at the best, what you can do is that to clean up the places, and inform them that this is a zone where you are not supposed to come. How do you inform them? Always keep these places disturbed. You always go here, there, cleaning them up. They get the sense that this is a place which always under disturbance. So they will not invade these places much. So those places which are not invaded, then you can put a little bit of, the haldiram or those things which they are not so keen, they are repulsive. So this you can throw a little bit there, right? And then as the space for them become less, right? It's the psychology or the nature that they don't feel the flexibility to breed more. So the breeding will stop. So this is how it became very clean now. So now, this morning I saw one, but I'm sure that is maybe somewhere from the door it came. Otherwise, it's very clean. So the thing is, it will take a little time. So the best thing is, precaution is better than cure, right? Right from the beginning, take precaution. And if it does happen, then what you do, as I said earlier, try to reduce what is already there, and see if they are coming from outside. This is what we have to check. If they're coming from outside. If they're coming from outside, and then you try to do your best in the inside, it will not at all help. Right? So what is coming from outside must be stopped. And then what is inside will, if you tackle it tactfully, reducing the amount of the food a little bit slowly, then they will not breed. So the breeding is the problem. Who already existed is not a problem, right? And their lifespan, I don't think their lifespan is too long, the cockroaches.
But their lifespan is not long, but they are supposed to be the oldest creatures alive.
No, whatever is the case, lifespan is not too much. So therefore, they say my two roommates, they visited me and they would leave, they would visit me around the same time. Once there was a mouse, what do you call it, mouse or rat? What's the difference? There was a mouse and who was also coming. And then, so it comes around my place and goes away, comes around my place. Okay, fine. Then again, very unlucky. Again, I have another roommate. Yeah, so, and then one I realized that he's becoming more and more naughty, right? He's becoming more and more naughty, then eating up even the clothes, so forth. Then I had to, okay, now if you do this, you cannot be my roommate. If you stay nicely, you can eat my food, is fine. But if you behave like this, then what should I wear when I go to Tibet House? Then you cannot be my roommate. Then finally, I captured him. While capturing him, I made sure that his tails were not hurt, because the traps, some of them are so violent, so forceful, that they can hurt their tails. So all precautions taken care of, and then sacked out, no more my roommate. Yeah. Okay. So these things, just see how we can avoid the. Okay. So quickly, the three physical, the non-virtues, say killing, stealing, sexual misconduct. Or for the stealing, we may not directly engage in the stealing, so forth, but evading the tax, and then the another thing, which is using the pirated things, right? This, I don't know how to get out of this problem. As I'm encouraging Tibet House to always, now move from using pirated to the licensed, to buy those things. So it's just our psyche. It's a psyche. We have to pay a little bit. And see how, we pay it, and then we have the proper one, right? Not the pirate ones. And what else? What in one place may not be considered as stealing, right? But in actuality, it's a form of, particularly now, India is really becoming developed, very developed. Not only the thought processes, they are becoming so developed. Already is a very rich, the philosophical, the tradition of philosophy came from India, one. Then number two, the human psyche. Human psyche is also, we see that it's developing so much in India. So therefore, for example, the strength of India and the weakness of the West. Strength of the West, the weakness of India, they are things. They are like these things. So the weakness, strength, we have to nurture further. The weakness, we have to remove it. So this is what we all have to put effort, right? So this is related to, number two is stealing. Number three is sexual misconduct. For the sexual misconduct, the best would be if we can read the first volume of Lama Tsongkhapa's commentary. So there, we will see things very explicitly mentioned there. What are the key points, right? Okay, 3 physical and 4 verbal. What are the 4 verbal? Lying, telling lies, and then harsh words, using harsh words. Okay, telling lies, just see, even for jokes, even for the sake of making jokes, see if you can refrain from telling lies. See, this is a matter of practice. How best we can do it. So it's an effort, right? And we may not be 100%. Okay, either today you just lie all the time, and the next day you become so pure. It's impossible. It's impossible. As long as improvement is happening, this is amazing. with the basic recognition that telling lies is not really good. I will try my best not to do it. I'll keep improving in getting rid of this habit. Number one is telling lies. Number two, harsh words. See how much you can avoid using the harsh words, particularly to the people who are nearby. Right? Harsh words is possible only to the people nearby. Even if you want to use harsh words against, say, the Donald Trump, you cannot. Even if you want to, you cannot. So whereas those people who are your family members, they can be the first victim of the harsh words. So just see how much we can evade using the harsh words, and particularly harsh words towards the mothers, and the father may be more tough, right? Mothers may be more vulnerable because they love you so much, right? And the tendency that we can easily go into harsh words towards your parents and particularly your mother, it's very, very, very likely there's a likelihood there. So see how much we can do away with this. So if we can take the first step, okay, from today onwards, what I've learned here, I've learned so many things, but the first thing that I'll take into action is that I'll stop using harsh words towards my mothers, towards my parents, right? If you take this step, this itself will change the whole world around you. Your family will, you see the family start to glow. Even the glow on their face will start to happen. If you don't believe it, try it. Your parents, you will see that they become more relaxed. You will see the relaxation happening on their face. They're more happy when you stop using the harsh words, very strong words, right? Okay, so this is the first step that we would take. And then, say harsh words to your colleagues, maybe a little less likely, because the colleagues who are not your mothers, they will fight back, right? The mothers will not fight back, so you take for granted. In the process, we are, the unnecessarily we are engaged in negative karmas. Okay, so the harsh words, then lying, harsh words, divisive words, all this slandering, just splitting two people who are in harmony, you split the two by making them unfriendly. So that is acutely a negative karma. So that negative karma can result in us in the future lifetimes, to suffer loneliness, to suffer the split in a family. All these things are the results of our engaging in negative karma of splitting others in this life. Okay. Harsh words, and then finally idle gossip. Idle gossip, just talking nonsense. Talking nonsense. This is the lightest of the negative karma, but it can be the heaviest. It is lightest because it does not really involve harming others, right? Just talk something nonsense. Okay, she's wearing this, he's wearing this. Just in 1 hour ago, she's wearing this, he's wearing this. Now, within 1 day, 3 times change, 4 times change. This is not your business. This is not our business, right? So therefore, there's no really harmful thought coming there, but it's just idle gossip. So this idle gossip can lead then towards anger, towards attachment. All these things can happen. So that way, this can be very dangerous. Okay, the form, the verbal, and the 3 mental. What are the 3 mental? One is on the covetousness. Covetousness is the longing for the possession of others. Longing for the possession of others. This can vary from a very small thing to a very severe thing, right? Longing for the possession of others. This is very, very dangerous. Covetousness, longing for the attachment. Then number 2 is ill will or the malice, ill will, wanting to harm others, right? Number 2. Then number 3 is the wrong view. Wrong view meaning disregarding the law of karma. Disregarding the law of karma, that as long as the policeman does not arrest me, who cares? I can freely engage in all the negative actions. So that is wrong view. Okay, these if we can refrain, then it will guarantee us that next life we will have a favorable birth next life. This is what is guaranteed. Okay, we'll stop here for today. We'll turn to page 306. Okay, sorry, 309. 309 for the dedication prayers. With a wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind of full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. I go for refuge to the Triple Gem. I confess the negativities individually. I rejoice in the virtues of all the beings. I hold the precious Buddha in my heart. As long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, until then we are to remain to dispel the miseries of the world. The path of union of emptiness and compassion is loosely explained by the protector of the Dharma in the beings of the snowland. You are the lotus holder Tenzin Gyatso. We supplicate you that your wishes are fulfilled spontaneously. May the operations of evil thoughts and deeds of the negative forces of humans and non-humans who hereby manage through perverted prayers against the teachings of the Buddhas be totally vanquished through the power of the truth of the three jewels. Throughout my future lifetimes, may I always be guided by Adam Manjushri and be able to uphold the Dharma in general and the teachings on dependent origination in particular, even at the cost of my life.